Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to explain example 3 in lecture note 9, logical function, nested if having single logic. Still we're not covering double logics or what we call two or more logics at once. We're covering it one logic, but we have nested if function. Now this example, it's one of civil engineering problem that throughout your student life you're going to do it. So we call it sieve analysis and soil classification. Now before explaining the example, I need you to know that what is it we're talking about. We call this one sieve. Those, they have different size. So the sample that you're taking it from the building or from the field, for any application that you have, for any project, you're taking the soil sample, you're bringing it to the lab, and you're doing this sieve analysis. Now it's going to give you those, because according to the size they will be classified or some will be separated. Then you weight them, you will do some calculation, which is not, and by the way, those calculation can be done through Excel as well. You already know that. For example, those things are all related to each other. They are related to each other, division, making percentage. Then you'll be able to use this one Excel to do this table. I'm sure you're gonna do it. So within your student life you're gonna do this one, and the teacher will ask you to represent this one in a graph, and the graph also can be done with Excel. Now we're using those for what? For soil classification. Some of you already in the 4th year, in the 3rd year, you've already seen some chart. We're using it to know which type of soil is the sample we have. When we say type of soil, we have different name for the soils that will help the geotechnician or the designer for the foundation to know which type of soil is there, the properties. They will understand it by knowing the name of the soil. Now this is a simple example. You may use different. Now imagine this is the full, it's basically for, this is for fine grain soil. Fine grain soil. If it is coarse grain soil, you will be having another chart. So imagine that this chart, it's all condition. Now if someone want to create an Excel with the if function, they can do this one easily, starting from here. If, look, if this is smaller than this one, then it's come here. Is it inorganic? But this is quite complex, but still we'll be able to do it. Now what each of them, look, if it's organic, it's gonna come here. If this is it, and then again CL is 30%. So you have to create a flow chart. Imagine this is, I am taking a small sample of this one, small sample, and I'm gonna explain how we can manage it easily, or like not easily, but how we can manage the flow chart for this type of example. Now one thing, if you're going to make this one as a project for yourself, you have to first to see how many outputs do you have it here. How many outputs do you have it here? Now if there's some are similar, you can call them one output, but 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and again there will be 7 here, again there will be 7 here, so 21. On the other side this is 7 and this is 7, so there is 14, which basically became 5 times 7. Yes, so those are basically will be the total output we have it. So if you have the general total number of the outputs, now you know that you need we said an output minus 1 will be the total if function that is required here. Now for these conditions, for those, we may need 34 if function to solve it. 34 if function, because we have 35 outputs there. So 7, we have it here, 7 times 5, 1 2 3 4 5, 7 times 5, basically I can solve with 34 if function, but imagine how big it will be. But still we can solve it. I'm not sure if the old Excel can handle this one, but remember, if you realize that ifs will be inside each other, I'm gonna teach you something that you can separate the ifs into 2 cells that may make your life easier. We can show you this one as well, in order to know that you don't need to put all of those. Imagine this case will be so big. Let's say sometimes they make it smaller. Some countries they have different. According to this is, I believe this is AASHTO, the one that we used to use it in university. This is Unified Soil Classification. This is for, I believe, some countries they're using it, and this is, I believe, for Canada, if I'm not wrong. They're using this way. So they have output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 output. They have it here. So you need 11 if function. Well, basically, those are similar. So one output here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 output with 9 if function. We can solve this chart here. So imagine they already in a form of flowchart, but if you make the flowchart for if function true false, it will be better. Why? Because they provide information that, look at here, more than 50% smaller than 4.75 millimeter. On the other hand, they said more than 50% equal or greater than, and we call those are tailed. So in if function, if you write one of them, you don't need to write the other one. By the way, I'm not going to explain this one. I'm going to explain something, a small part of it, a small part of this. Now, in the example that I have it, I gave you just few data here. By the way, those values, they might not be correct, but I just simply made them for the purpose of explanation. I believe that this version that I uploaded to Moodle, there is something the solution is correct, but this part here, this must be greater. This must be greater, because one of them smaller, the other one must be greater. Both of them cannot be the same. One side supposed to be greater, one side will be smaller, equal. Now, this one, it's not easy to write if function directly on it. Why? Because you have to, if you convert this one to the flowchart, and the flowchart will make the writing easier for us. Now, first, understanding how does it work. By the way, I'm always telling, if you don't know what you're doing, you cannot tell Excel to do it for you. Remember, we're using Excel. Excel does not do magic. It's going to do something that we already know how to doing it, but it will do it faster for us and more accurately. So imagine that this, if you write a function, this function in Excel, it can be used 100 times. Imagine if I'm going to use my hand each time when I'm doing analysis. Let's say I did the analysis and I want to find out which one is it. I have to start from here. Okay, came here. Then is it here? Yes, it comes here. Then, okay, will be here. Is this is greater than this one? Then this is, what is it? Then I have to repeat this one every time when I have a sample. If I'm working in the lab, this will be one of your job. So if you can create this one in Excel, you just type the answer, type the result, directly you will get the answer. Remember, Excel does not do something that you cannot do it, but it will do it faster for you and more accurate. No mistake if the functions are correct. So let's convert this one to a flowchart that it's somehow related to the if function, that for us will be easier. Now the flowchart is somehow here, but I'm explaining it how we got this flowchart here, how we got this flowchart. Let's say that's starting from here. Now it says that passing 4.75. By the way, this is the name given here. The sieve, the name of the sieve is 4.75. Means that the size of the sieve, those are the opening for it. The name is 4.75. So we have few names here, 4.75 millimeter to number 200. So those are the name. Remember, those part here, those are the name, the sieve names. They are the name of the sieve. Those are the name of the sieve. And this is the percentage passing. So it says that passing a 4.75 greater or equal to 50, you're gonna come here. If passing 4.75 smaller than 50, you directly have gravel. By the way, how many outputs I have it? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 inputs. There are 4 input here. Those are the values of them, by the way, the name of them, and those are the value input them. And we're gonna use this to solve the problem. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 output. I have it here. So total I have 5 output. Remember, 5 output minus 1 minus 1, it's equal to the if function we needed. So we need 4 if function. With 4 if function I can solve this problem here. With 4 if function I can solve this problem. Well, how are we going to use those if function? By the way, I can solve it more than with more than 4 ifs. With more than 4 ifs I can solve the problem. But you have to be careful that all the logics are following the way that you are forcing it. You have to be very careful with the logics that you're using it. Now, since we know we need 4 if, this logic, basically those are the tail of each other, yes? So if I use this one, no need to use this one. Remember this, please. You're always checking the logics. If you use the logic, the reverse of that logic, no need to be used inside the if function. So this is greater equal to 50, reverse of it, I'm not going to use it. If I use this one, reverse of it, I'm not going to use it. Remember this, please. So I can say that if passing a 4.75, when I say passing a 4.75, what do I mean by this one? I mean that this cell, I'm going to select this one. When I say passing 4.75, I mean passing of this one, which means that I'm going to select this cell. I'll say, okay, if this cell is greater than 50, come inside here. By the way, it's greater, yes? Let's do it manually to see how do we go. Is 4.75 greater than 50? Yes, it's 78 greater than 50. It's going to come inside here. Now, it's going to check those two. Is passing number 200 smaller than 12? Well, let me check this one. Passing number 12 greater than, passing number 200 greater than 12. Number 200 passing, it is 8, it's not greater than 12, yes? So it's not going to come here. The tail of it, which is the reverse, passing number 200 is smaller than 12, yes, it's going to come inside here. Now, it's going to say that LL, which is standing for liquid limit, is it smaller than 50? If it's smaller than 50, is SCSL. If not, will be SCSH. By the way, this is bigger. I said in the beginning, this is bigger. This is bigger. Let me see if I can change it here. And I'll try to update this one from the it does not allow me. So this is supposed to be greater. Well, if I can change it, I don't know if it is. Okay, that's going to be greater. This also will be greater. Okay, now, so according to the values that we have it was this passing 4.75 with greater than 50, so it come inside here. It was not here, so it was not here. Or when passing number 200 is 8, so it's smaller than 12, it comes inside here. When it comes here, there is again checking for another function, another logic, which is LL here, checking is it small equal to 50? Yes, so it's going to come here, and the result will be SCSL. Now SCSL, they have different names in the soil, but I'm not going to explain those things, whether it is silty, sand, clay, low, high. There's a lot of names going on there. So those names are just for us. It's just, remember, the idea is what? If you know the flow, the result can be changed to any name that you want it. Can be changed to any name there. So it's supposed to come in this way and reach to here. Now, when we're writing the if function, we said that I can just simply follow the things that I have it. Starting this one. Now if I write this one, no need for this one because this is the reverse of it. So the true is going to come here. Again, passing number 200 is smaller than 12. If I write this one, no need for the corresponding one, or the reverse of it, which is the tail, no need for this one. So I'm just writing this one. Look, first thing I want to know the logics. I will write it inside if function. I know the total for if function I have it, yes, for if function. So I supposed to have four logics, logics for if, each if. This is for the first if, this is for the second if. Now for the third if, this is, if I use this one, no need to use this one. Then for this case, because this is totally different than here, if I use this one, no need to use this one. Now you realize that 1, 2, 3, 4, I chose 4 of them. I could choose the rest. I could choose different 4. It's up to you. Remember, you will decide which logic to use it. That's why each student, they have a unique solution. Now your solution will not be like your friend. Like two person does not think the same way to say, okay, let's go this one, then go to here, then go to here. Mainly like it's student changing basically, unless it's a group wise work, like you know what you're doing together. But if it's individual, normally student following different way, different patterns to solving it. Now remember, you could use this one, no need for this guy here. You could this one here, no need for this one. From here you could use this one, no need for this one. From that side you can use this one. You realize that there is a lot of options I can use it. But remember, I have 4 if, I'm choosing 4 logics here, because this is the tail of it. I'm not going to use it. The tail of this one, not going to use it. The tail of this one will not be used. The tail of this one will not be used. So that will be the rest. The rest of them will be in the false. Remember, we said that false will contain one of the, or the logic will be within the false. Now the flowchart we have it says that if, so this flowchart, it's based on what? If the passing of let me just write it down here, it will be easier. If passing, so passing 4.75, if it is greater equal to 50, if it's greater equal to 50, this is the first if. I believe it's used, it's greater equal to 50. Then if it is true, look, I have 2 conditions. If it is not true, directly have gravel. Coming back here, let me just do it here, it's better. I believe that here will be better for us. Oops. I'm going to change everything back to it's supposed to be bigger. Right, let me do it here, since here will be easy, at least for explain what we're doing. Now I'm gonna try to put the ifs. I'll say if passing a 4.75 greater than 50, so I will be having true. Let's come here, this will be true. False gonna go where? The false will be this guy, because if something is not greater than 4.75, not greater than 50, it means smaller than 50, directly the false value will be gravel. So I'm not going to check this one. This is, if it's like this, we'll be having here, but if it is not true, will be gravel. Now if this is true, I have checking for number 200. Now pay attention here. Number 200 smaller than 12, or number 200 greater equal to 12, in both cases I have another if. So the if here I'm writing it, there will be another if. Let's say I'm putting the if here. So this is if value if true, let's say I'm bringing it here. Remember, I could put the other side. So since I put the if here, I'm gonna neglect this tail. Also, if passing number 200 is smaller than 12, this is gonna be the true. The true is gonna go down. The false of it, where does it go? It's gonna come here again. Look, it does not check this one. Do not come back here. Why? Because this is already the false containing this one. Remember, this is the true. It's the false. So this is the true gonna come down. The true is gonna come down. So if something is passing 4.75 greater equal to 50 is gonna come here. Now if passing number 200 is smaller than 12 is coming here. Now again, I have another checkpoint. So let's say that I'm gonna connect this one to this guy. I'm gonna say if, since I put the if over this one, I'm gonna cancel the other part because they are, if it's not here, will be the other one. Now say if LL is greater than 50, this will be the answer. If not, this will be the answer. So this is the true and this is the false. Why false of this one? What does it mean? LL smaller equal to 50. It's supposed to be this. Now, if this is not true, I'm gonna come here, the false. Again, for this false, I have to use another if function. Let's say this time I'm gonna put the if over this guy. So I'm gonna say if liquid limit or LL is smaller than 50, this will be the answer. No need to use this one. No need to use this one. So this will be the true. True is gonna come here. The false is gonna go there. Now you realize that it's confusing. Yes, that's why I am going to create the flowchart. The flowchart is there, but I'm gonna type it down, type it again, the flowchart, to see that while creating the flowchart, it will be easy just to read the flowchart while you're creating it, then converting it to a function. I did it on this graph here, but you realize that it was confusing. It was confusing. But when you create, I'm just going to choose something. Now when you create from scratch a flowchart that is, by the way, I'm not asking for the flowchart in the final exam or the exams. I'm not asking it. So you are free to use anything that you wanted. But believe me, if you work with this flowchart, it will be very easy for you. It will be very easy for you. Let me just delete some of those things. Start from the scratch. Now, look, I'm spending some time on this flowchart because this flowchart will help you to make the if functions easier. Now, decision basically for us, if function. I say if. Now, I'm saying if, so passing 4.75. Look, this is in the Excel, we're going to select the cell. We're not going to write it like this. But here, if it is greater or equal to 50. Now, this is the condition I have it there. This is the condition there. Look, if I'm writing it, if this is true, so if this is true, it's going to come here. If it is false, it's going to the other side. Now, from this side, if this is false, I have directly gravel. So the false value, it is result. Gravel is a result. So this is basically, for us, it's a result. Let's say that this is the result. Why? Because if this is not true, if passing is 4.75, it's not greater or equal to 50, means smaller than 50, smaller than 50, I have only one option, it's gravel, and that's it. But if it's not, then I'll come here. We said that I'm going to use one of these logic. So again, I'll be having one if function. The if function here says that this time if passing number 200, we said we're going to use one of them. Let's say I'm using smaller than 12, smaller than 12. So I'm using this one, smaller than 12. I'm not using the other one. Let's say that if this is true, look, continue in this way. If this is true, so you can continue with it. Let's move this one a bit to that side, so we don't have anything there. So let's say this is true. If this is true, what will you do? So if this is true, you have to decide something. Is it here or here? So I have to put another if function because I have two choice. I have to choose two choice. Then I'm going to put another if function here, another if function there. Now this if function, this time I'm going to check what? I'm checking LL, which is the liquid limit. I'm comparing it with greater equal to 50, let's say. Greater equal to 50. So let's say this time I'm comparing that one with greater equal to 50. When if it is greater equal to 50, sorry, we have smaller equal to 50. Smaller equal to 50. Now, again, this if has two. There will be first true. I recommend to go with the true, then you can do the false easily. Now, imagine this is true, you come here. This is true, you come here. This is true, and you directly get the result. So remember, if you working in this manner, when you can finish the true, then you can go back to the false one by one to finish everything. Now imagine that it is greater. This one is smaller than 12, and the LL is smaller than equal to 50. The case which is here, this will be SCSL. The result will be there. So I'm going to write the result under here because there is no any other so SCSL, SCSL. Now, what if the LL it's not smaller or equal to 50? Means that the false value, remember the false value already contains something. No need to write that one. Why? Because if this is, so we already know this is the reverse of this one is in the reverse of this one is going to be in the reverse of this one is going to be in the false. I need you to know this one. It's very important. Making it red. That's why this is not going to come inside the if function. Because we know if it is not smaller equal to 50, it's greater than 50. Well, remember you are still in the true. So where we are here. If this is, we use this one. We say we're not going to use this one. So if it is not here, the result will be SCSH. The result will be SCSH. Now, this if finished, yes. Remember, when do you say an if finished? When it has three values. Three values will be what? Will be the logic. Which is here. The value of true, value of false. So I have everything there. I have everything, value of true, value of false. So it means that it is finished. Now, remember we start with the true. I wrote the other true. I wrote this true, then I'll go back for the false. The false of this one. Now, we're going to go back to the false of this one here. When passing in number 200 is not smaller than 12. Which means that it is greater than 12. So remember, sorry, Control Z. So this is the false here, is containing passing number 200 to be greater or equal to 12. Remember, we're not writing this one. We're not going to write this one in the if function. Why? Because it's within the false. So it means that we are here. It's within this range. Again, even if I'm here, I have two options, whether to choose this one or this one. So it depends again on the liquid limit, the LL value. Again, I'm going to use the same, it is the same condition, but just the output. So I'm going to have this if function. By the way, we can do copy even in the so this is going to be the other if function. If LL smaller equal to 50, in that case will be SM SL. If not, it will be SM SH. So this will be the first part, will be the name of it will be SM. This will be SM SH. Now if you check the if function, all of the if functions, they have their value of true, value of false. In order to check, I need you to start in this manner, in order to see that if your if functions, they have all the things. Believe me, if you start with the flow, I know the flowchart might takes time, but you will be having time. If you practice, you can do this one faster. You don't need to make it nice, by the way. I don't need this flowchart. I need you to make it fast for yourself. At least you know what was going to be where. At least I know that this if contains two ifs inside it. This if, there is one output, one if inside it. Those if, they don't have any if inside them. Look, in this way I can realize which if will be inside which of the ifs. Now, by the way, how do we start? From the top. This is one, the if. Then you open the parenthesis, you write the logic. Then you go for true value. The true value is what? It's another if. So you're writing the if function. Then for that if, you're going to write the logic. Then you're going to go for true value. The true value of this if, which is in the third if, that you're writing the if again. Then for this if, you're going to write the logic. After the logic, you're going to go for true. True here is a value. You're typing this one. Then when true finished, look, true, when do you say that it's finished? If it is a result or something, a calculation. Look, this true was an if, so it took me to another level. Then one more time, the true value of this second if, it's again another if, so it took me to another level, the third level of the if. Then I wrote the if, I wrote the logic, but this time it's stopping. It's a result here. It's not going further. It's not going further. Now I'm going to jump to what? Directly after here, I'll come to the false of this one. So this will be the 8. Then where do we go? Those are finished. What? Look at this if. 1, 2, 3 things has this. Go back to here. Because all of this is a true value for this if. Then we're going to go to the false value. When it comes to false value, again I have another if. So we're starting with the if. This if has a logic, and this is the logic for the if. If this logic is true, is going to come here. This will be the 11th, and then if it is not true, then we're going to go to false. This will be the 12th. Then this is finished. Yes, this is finished here. We're going to go back, because look at here please, in the first one, the first if, all this part here, all of this is what? True value. Imagine this is true. All of it, it's true for the first one. So when we finish all the true, then we go to the false, and this will be the last part of the if function. This is very important, that which one comes first. Why? Because this, imagine this one is a true value for this one. This part, look, an if supposed to have two, yes, two outputs. So this is output for here, this output for here. So this is true, this is false for this one. Checking the bigger one, all of it, all of those guys here, I mean this part over here, all of it, it's a true value for this one, and this is the false. So if you start in this way, 1, 2, then starting with the side of the, and then going back to the false, in this manner you will not make mistake. So now if I write it, I will start with this if, the parentheses. Let's talk about some parentheses here. Let's see, remove this one. Now, where do we start closing parentheses? Let's give some coloring. Okay, let's start with the first if. Remember, when you write an if, there is a parenthesis, you're opening it. This parenthesis will be closed when the false of that function will be finished. But I'm not going to close it now. I'm not going to close it now. Why? Because still I'm going to go to true. We come to inside true. Then I have another if. I will open another parenthesis. There's the parenthesis here. Then I'm going to true value. True value, there is another if, so another parenthesis I'm opening it. Another parenthesis, I have it here. Because each if, there will be parenthesis. Now, for this if, we're writing the true value. We're writing the false value. When we finish the false value for this if, it is time to close. It's time to close this blue one. Why? Because an if, when you have a logic and a true value, false value, close that function. Remember this, please. When we come to Excel, I'm going to do the same way. But in Excel, since we're writing it in one line, it might not be clear when you're closing it. I'll show you again. We can use the active mode, the function active mode, that it allows us to know which part is what before closing it. Now, then I'm coming back to this if. Have I finished the false part? No. So I'm going to go to inside the false. Within the false, I have another if. That if also starting another if start here. Now this if, it has a true value. I wrote the true value, then I wrote the false value. When the false value and the true value of a function is an if function finished, it's time to close it. So you realize that we have some closing the functions. Now, have I finished the parts for this if? I have the logic. All of this is true value, all of this false value. Now it's time to close these ones and these guys, which I opened here. It is time to close. Look, after this one directly, I'm closing it. As soon as I close this one, as soon as I close the yellow one, because the yellow one was closing the false part for this one, then I'm going to close this if function. Now all of this, I finished it, yes? It's a true value for this one. Then we're going to go to the false value. When I wrote the false value, it is time to close the first. This will be closed at the end, which is after writing this gravel. Now those parentheses opening are very important. If you close it somewhere, it does not work and it always give you error. You have to work some on those if functions and those parentheses to see how you'll be able to manage them fast. Now, let me go to Excel. I'm going to go over here to see how can I convert this one to if function. Because I told you two things, if you know, converting from flowchart to if function, or the function from float, that will be harder. The function, when it's written in an Excel forum, converting to flowchart, then you know how to read it. If you be able to do one side, which is easy, from flowchart to if function is easy. Now let's say I'm having the sieve here. The sieves, let's say I have 4.5 75 millimeter. I have, I don't know, there's 200 millimeter. There was another one, but we didn't use it. Then we have number, sorry, this is number, yeah, this is 200, number 200, number 200, and the last one is LL. We use those three, and their value, or the percentage passing, quality percentage passing, this is different, so I'm gonna just, it's not a part of the chart, it's supposed to be here. This is the chart, I have it here. Now remember, I don't need a value to be inside it, because when you're writing function, any value you input still gonna give you a correct answer. Now I'm gonna try to see if I can convert this flowchart I have it there to an if function in Excel. Let's see if I can manage them to see both of them together, then it will be great. In order, I believe that I have to just move around to manage them. Let's say we're starting with the first if. Yes, I'm writing somewhere here. Later we can move it. Oh, let's just write the result here. I want to have it in front of my eyes to see what we're doing there. Okay. Now, let me write it somewhere here. Now I'll say if. So the result to be somewhere here. Starting with if. Remember, you're starting with the top one. If you open the parenthesis. Now logical test passing 4.75. I'm not writing it. That's somewhere that I'm selecting it. Why? Because we say selecting something, we are comparing it with something else. Remember, you're comparing this value, because whenever I'm inputting something here, it automatically comes here, will be compared by 50. A separator. If this is true, we're gonna come here. What do I have? Look, I have another if. I start typing if. Believe me, if you follow this method for the beginners, you will be able to solve any problem, no matter how hard it is. Now, if this if has a logic passing number 200 to be smaller than 12. Okay, I'm going to say this is passing number 200 to be smaller than 12. Then I know that I must go where? I must go to for the value of true, putting a separator, value of true. So if this is true, I have another if. I'm going to put another if there. Look, step by step, I'm going to follow the flowchart. If LL is smaller equal to 50, where is LL? This is LL to be smaller equal to 50. If it is smaller equal to 50, what to do now? Look, this is, if this logic is true, value of true will be SCSL. If we have to type something which is a text, we're using quotation mark. So we use quotation mark. I'm directly writing the way it is, SCSL. Now remember, this is value of true for this condition, which for this if LL is smaller than 50, the true value is this one. The false value of it, so let's just put a separator. The false value of this one, it's SCSH. So it is SCSH. Now, what we said that there was a parenthesis closing here, yes? So how do I know it's time for closing parenthesis? Let's say that in Excel. Look, I wrote value false, yes? 1. So this is the logical test. This value of true and the value of false, basically it's here. It's here. It means that it's time to close that parenthesis. So if you close the parenthesis, remember, when you close the parenthesis, check to see whether between two closed parentheses, the color they are the same. Do you have the three arguments? Logical test, value of true, value of false. Compared to the flowchart, you have it if LL. Like this is if LL, D10 is LL, smaller equal to 50. If it is true, I have this one, which is SCSL. If it is false, I have SCSH. Perfect. Now, let's click outside of this. Outside of the parenthesis, look, it will bring me where? Back to inside this if, isn't it? Look at it. Let's put the separator first. Now, look, value if true, this is logical test, D7 smaller than 12, D7 smaller than 12, which was this one. If this is true, look at it, I have a complete if function, and you must check this way, because we said all of this is a true value for this if. So how do I check this one in Excel? When I click, this is the if, the second if is. Look, if I click on the value if true, I see the complete if will be selected. Why? Because the complete if here, complete if function, it's a true value for this one. Now, so where am I now? The false value for who? If you don't know, just check like this. Okay, the false value for this one. Again, the false value is another if. So I will start with another if. I'm following the, if you type numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9, 10, 11, 12, you realize that, what do I mean? For example, this is 1. This is 1. Then, I mean, this is the if is 1. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. This was 6. Then this is 7. This is 8. This is 8. I remember it was 8. We close the parenthesis. Then this is 9. 9. This is 10. The logic. So I have to write the logic here is LL to be smaller. So LL to be smaller equal to 50. And then if this is true, so if this is true, what do we do? We're gonna write this one, SMSL. So SM/SL. What if it is not? So if false, because if this is not true, the false one will be SMSH. So the false value, we're gonna write SMSH. Now again, since I have a logic, I have a value of true, a value of false, it is time to close this parenthesis here. So if I check here, this is logic, this value of true, value of false. If logic, value of true, value of false, and the parenthesis closed. I said here, there is another parenthesis, will be closing it for this if. So how do I know I need to close it? Look, where am I? Look, this is value of false, yes, I have it. Value of true, I have it. Logical test, I have it. That's it. 3 argument, I have it for this if. It's time to close it. If you put anything else, it will be wrong. So I needed to use these techniques while working with nested if, because they will be very complicated. And this is still the easy form. Still, this is the easy form. Chapter 10, which is the hardest one, or the complex one, it will make you a bit tired. So I need you to start with a simple one to know how to manage, how to check. At least you'll be able to do the rest. So since I know I have logical test, I have value of true, value of false, it is time to close this parenthesis, the red one here. Now look, this is all of it, which is the complete if here. It's value of true for the first if, because this is the logic. If passing number 4.75 greater than 50, if this is true, this is the complete part of it. So if the only part remain is what? The only part remain if this is not true, which you realize that, look, I cannot go there until I'll put a separator, then this is going to be the value false. The value false for the first if, look, how do I know which if is it? It's basically, you're supposed to click inside them, then it's gonna give you, or you can just click on the logical test, you know which one is it. For example, you are somewhere, you don't know which one is it. Click on the logical test and you realize that this is for this if. I'm somewhere here. For example, somewhere I'm here. I don't know which one is it. Just click on the logical test. It will tell you that this is here. Then you know that this is you can check them like this. So for the large if that I have it, this is logical test, which I wrote it here. Then the complete, those three if here, they are the true value for this one. Then the false value will be gravel. So I'm gonna put this one in a quotation mark, and we're gonna write gravel. Let's do the same, gravel. And now, since I wrote a false value, remember always when you wrote a false value, it's time to close a parenthesis. Whenever you wrote a false value, it's time to close a parenthesis because it's the end of an if function. So do not close a parenthesis unless you're sure that you're writing a false value. Now, if I close the parenthesis, checking if by if, the first if, this is the logical test, this is the value of true, and this is the value of false, which we said that all of this value of true is false. Then I'm going to go inside the second if to see that, do I have logic? I have logic. Do I have value of true? This is the value of true, and this is the value of false. Because we know that here, the value of true, the value of false, both of them are if function. Now going inside the third if, which is here, do I have logic? I have logic. Do I have value of true? I have it. Value of false? I have it. And the parenthesis closes directly after the value of false. For the other if function, do I have logic? I have it. Do I have value of true? I have it. Do you have value of false? I have it. And the parenthesis will be closed there. Now, after the closing the parenthesis, it will take me back to that if. That's the logical. That's the value of true. That's the value of false. It is time to close the red parenthesis as well. Then I'm going to go outside there. I have the main one, which is value of false. And this is the logic, this is value of true, and this value of false. Then it's time to close the last if function's parenthesis. And hit enter, type anything here. Let's say that's going to be 60, and it's going to be, let's say, 15, and that's going to be, let's say, 55. In order to check, I can do it manually. 60, yes, passing 4.75 is greater than 50, so it's going to come here, it's true. Then number 12, is it smaller than 12? No, it's 15, so it's going to come here, because passing number 200, it's 15, it's bigger than 12, so it's going to come here. Now we're going to check for what? For LL. Is LL smaller equal to 50? No, it's bigger than, so it will be SM, SH, and you see it from here. Change this one to 10. Let's check it to see if it's true. 60 is going to come here. This time it's smaller than 12, it's going to come here. LL, is it smaller than 15? No, it's going to come here, and it's supposed to be SC, SH. I can see it from there. If I change this one, to 20, it's not greater than 50, yes, it directly goes to here, and it's going to be gravel directly. So I can see that this function is working perfectly, and I used for if to solve the problem because I had 5 outputs. I hope it's clear what we're doing. I'm going to do another flowchart. That flowchart will be, maybe I can use more than, I don't know, if I try something, maybe let's see if I can use 5 if functions, different way of solving it, so at least you have an idea how to solve this problem or different type of problem. I'm gonna share some example for the final exam that we had them, at least to see that what kind of question we asked them. It was hard, but not as hard as the way of thinking, because I always explain the things the way I want you to understand it. Then any question if I ask you, if you understood, you will be able to answer them. But if you haven't, if you're just simply looking to replicate the function the way I'm doing it, you will struggle a bit in if function. Because if function, the logics depend on you. I'm not giving you logic. You will decide logic for yourself. You can have any logics by just understanding the how does it work, then you'll be able to convert it to an if function. So the next video will be explaining this example by different way of solving it to see if we can use 5, 6 if function, if we can manage it, to see if we'll be able to solve it some way else. Let's see if we can. We're gonna change it. We don't have that much variation here because the logics are single logic. In a single logic, we don't have too many variants. So we're gonna see how does it work. Thanks for watching.